This number is calculated. Now, how was this number, for example, calculated? 3 into 0 plus 3 into 0 minus 35, that became minus 35. Same procedure here. 3 by 2 into 0, which is 0, plus 3 by 4 into 40. What is 3 by 4 into 40? 30. So it is 0 plus 30 minus what is appearing at the top. Remember, I have not written the titles here. I am using the same titles. What is written at the top? 35. So 0 plus 30 minus 35 is nothing but minus 5. So minus 5 is the number which I need to write here. Good. Next, two numbers are missing. I need to find out these numbers. Now this number, how is it calculated? Minus 1 by 2 into 0 is 0. 1 by 4 into 40. 1 by 4 into 40 is 10. So it is 0 plus 10 minus what is appearing at the top is 0. So 0 plus 10 minus 0 is 10. Okay. Next, last number calculated exactly in the same manner, except that there is nothing at the top over here. So how do you calculate the number? 12 multiplied by 0 plus 24 multiplied by 40. What is 24 multiplied by 40? 960. 24 into 4 is 96. There is a 0, so this is 960. Table stands completed. Is there an improvement in the zeta value? What was the original zeta value? Last number in the table gives me the zeta value. It was 0. Now what has it become? It has become 960. In other words, we have already started making profit of 960. Good. And what is the solution at this stage? Look at the solution at this stage. S1 is equal to 12. X1 is equal to 24. Which variables are not there in the basis? S2 is not there in the basis and X2 is not there in the basis. Variables which are not there in the basis, what is their value? Always 0. So this table actually represents something like this. X1 is equal to 24, X1 is equal to 24, X2 which is not there in the basis is 0, S1 is equal to 12 and S2 which is not there in the basis has to be 0 and zeta is equal to 960. This is what this table represents. This is a solution obtained by me after going from one table to the next table. Now the important point is this solution optimal? What are the tests of optimality? We said that a given solution can be called as optimal if there is no negative number in the index row. Is there a negative number in the index row here? Examine the index row. Is there a negative number? Yes. How many? Only one. So there is no question of choosing higher between the two. There is only one negative number in the index row. If you find a negative number in the index row or more than one negative numbers in the index row, choose the one which has highest value and put an incoming variable, incoming arrow under this number. Which is this column? X2 column. What does it mean? Variable X2 is now trying to enter the basis. Variable X2 is now trying to enter the basis. Remember, basis has only two places. In the first iteration, going from first table to the next table, what happened is S2 had to go out and X1 came in. Okay. Now what is happening is X2 is trying to enter the basis. So either S1 or X1 who are present in the basis will have to go out. Do you remember how we decided that S2 should go out and not S1? We took the division of RHS value upon value in the key column, RHS value upon value in the key column, and we chose lowest of the two values. So I'll do the same thing here. Remember these formulas, most important formulas, and you must learn these formulas by heart. I'm sure after 3 problems being solved, you will know these formulas by heart in any case. Okay. Now, look at it. What I'm going to do is minus 5 is the only negative number, so I'm saying the highest negative number. The column here is X2. This column is X2 column. Therefore, variable X2 is trying to enter the basis. So either S1 or X1 must leave. How do we decide who leaves? This is the key column. Now what did we do? 60 upon 2 and 96 upon 4 is what we calculated. Okay. Now here the key column is here. So what will I do? 12 divided by 3 by 2 and 24 divided by 3 by 4. These are the two divisions which I will calculate. I will pick up lower of the two positive values. So let me calculate. 12 divided by 3 by 2. 12 divided by 3 by 2. One division. Second division. 24 divided by 3 by 4. Okay. Now I have to calculate this. Now can you see that 12 divided by 3 by 2 is same thing as 12 multiplied by 2 by 3, and as you can see easily this is 8. 12 multiplied by 2 by 3 will be 24 upon 3, which is 8. Next division. 24 divided by 3 by 4 will be nothing but 24 multiplied by 4 by 3. Can you see that it is 96 upon 3, which is 32. So the two divisions of RHS value upon value in the key column are 8 and 32. Which of them is lower positive value? 8 is the lower positive value. Between 8 and 32, the lower positive value is 8. And therefore 8 happens in respect of which row? 12 divided by 3 by 2 is the lowest division, and therefore first row S1 gives me the lowest division of RHS value upon key column value. Therefore my key row is S1. And this is my key column. Key column fixed, key row fixed. What is the intersection of the two numbers called? It is called as key number. And what is the key number? A number which lies both in the key row and key column is over here. And therefore this is my key number, and the most important number for this iteration is therefore 3 by 2. The key number, which is nothing but intersection of the key row and key column, which is 3 by 2, is my key number. Fine. Now write down the numbers in the key column. We are yet to find out the key ratio. Remember, key ratio has to be found out. What are the new terms introduced by us? Incoming variable, and then outgoing variable, and then we use the word iteration. These are the new terms which we have used so far. Okay. So now, having identified the key row and key column, we have identified the key number. I have put an asterisk on the key number now, and that is 3 by 2. So I will write now the numbers in the key column. Look at the key column. What are the numbers in the key column? 3 by 2 and 3 by 4, and asterisk is on the number 3 by 2. This is the key row. This is the non-key row. Remember, now here this is the key row, this is the non-key row. Here the situation was reversed. This was the key row, this was the non-key row. Here this is the key row, this is the non-key row. And key ratio is applicable only for the non-key row. Now how the key ratio is calculated? Recall. This number has to be in the denominator. The key number has to be in the denominator. Therefore 3 by 4 divided by 3 by 2, which is equal to 3 by 4 divided by 3 by 2 can be said to be multiplied by 2 by 3. And here if I cancel 3 with 3, this is 2 upon 4 or 1 by 2. So coincidentally here the key ratio is same as before. So I will write here now key ratio is equal to 1 by 2. Now, did we make an improvement in the value of zeta? We started in the first table with a zeta value at 0. Remember, the last number in the table is always zeta value. We came to 960. That means a good improvement we made from 0 to 960. Now, the indication that I get because of this negative number is that this solution is also not optimal. That means there must exist a better value than 960. For the objective function, therefore, the value that I am going to get is definitely going to be more than 960. Even 961 will do, but it will be better than 960. Something higher than 960. And have we calculated key ratio? Yes. Have we identified key row? We have identified key ratio. We have identified key column, key row, key number and key ratio. Having done this, we are now ready for the going from the present table to the next table. Now see, these numbers here are the old numbers. What I am going to write in the new table are the new numbers. What are the changes happening in the basis? Where is the outgoing arrow? The outgoing arrow is over here. Key row is over here. So which variable should go out? S1 should go out. What should come in? Key column tells me what should come in. What is the key column? Variable name is x2. In other words, S1 is going out and x2 is coming in. Fine. So outgoing variable is S1, incoming variable is x2. Therefore, the new basis will have x2 over here. S1 is replaced by x2 and x1 remains same. From every table to the next table, what will happen is one variable will go out, one variable will come in. So in the basis between two tables, between two consecutive tables, there will always be only one change in the basis. One variable will be outgoing variable, another variable will come in, and this will continue till when? Till you reach the optimal solution. And what is the test of optimality? If there is no negative number in the index row, you have reached the optimal solution. So let's find out the numbers in the next table. Okay. So titles I am keeping the same. The titles of all the columns are same. I am not repeating them here. Now I am writing the new table. We start with the basis always. What are the changes in the basis or the basic variables? S1 is going out, outgoing arrow here. X2 is coming in, so X2 is coming in place of S1. So S1 goes out of the basis and X2 comes into the basis. So X2, X1 remains same. Only one change will happen in the basis at a time. The moment I write the basic variables, I know what are their contributions to the objective function. Can you see that the contribution of X2 to the objective function which is available here will be 35, and contribution of X1 was 40. It remains same where the variable is unchanged. Therefore, the contribution column now has 35 and 40. Okay. Now what are the basic variables? In the order X2, X1 is the order in which the variables appear in the basis. X2 first followed by X1. So where should the identity matrix appear? It should first come under X2 column, 1, 0 must come under X2 column, and X1 column must be 0, 1. Second variable in the basis. So first variable in the basis is X2, therefore X2 column I am directly writing down as 1, 0. X1 is the second variable in the basis, therefore I am writing this column also directly as 0, 1. I am drawing up the index row also, and in the index row or the net evaluation row, these two numbers are going to be 0. We can write this Zj minus Cj every time. This is Zj minus Cj. Okay. Identity matrix is written. Once identity matrix is written, out of 4 variable columns, 2 are already ready. So what do we need to do? Calculate the S1, S2 column numbers and the RHS column numbers. So in every row, out of 5 numbers, 2 are already done. So remaining 3 numbers have to be calculated. How do we go about it? We always transform the key row first. Okay. So let me transform the key row now. What is the formula for key row? Look at this. For key row, new number is obtained by taking the old number and dividing it by the key number. What is the key number here? Key number is 3 by 2. Okay. So every number in this key row, I will be dividing by 3 by 2, which is same thing as saying that every number in the key row, I will be multiplying by 2 by 3. But dividing by 3 by 2 and multiplying by 2 by 3 is one and the same. So multiplication is easier to understand. So I'll take up the numbers in the key row, go on multiplying them by 2 by 3. That means dividing by 3 by 2. Okay. Where the formula is old number divided by key number. Key number is here. That means every number has to be divided by 3 by 2. So let us do that. What are the missing numbers? 1, 2, 3 and again 1, 2, 3. Once I write these 6 numbers, my table will be ready. Then I'll be able to calculate the numbers in the index row. The most important row. Why? That index row is going to tell me whether my solution is optimal or not. And what is the test of optimality? If there is no negative number in the index row, the solution will be optimal. Of course, now we removed this negative number from the index row. Now this number coincidentally became -5, so we are now trying to remove this negative number in the index row, but it does not mean that necessarily the next solution will be optimal, because a new negativity may come here or here. We do not know as of now. So we'll come to know, we'll see that shortly. So key row first, always we do the key row first. Now what are the numbers in the key row? They are the numbers in the key row. I am going to divide by 3 by 2 or multiply by 2 by 3. So take the old number. Now this is the new number. Take the old number 1, divide it by 3 by 2 or multiply it by 2 by 3. 1 multiplied by 2 by 3 is 2 by 3. Next, take the old number -1 by 2, multiplied by 2 by 3. 2 and 2 will get cancelled. Can you see that this is going to be -1 upon 3? So this is -1 upon 3. Next, RHS column, same way. Old number 12 multiplied by 2 upon 3. This is 24 upon 3, that is 8. Okay. Key row completed. Key row calculation is always the easier of the two. The formula is simple. So I have finished with the key row. Now I go to the non-key row, that is the second row over here is a non-key row. Key ratio, has it been calculated already? Yes, written here. The formula is here. Now this formula is of no use. Formula for non-key row is new number is obtained by taking the old number, and from that we are going to subtract multiplication of two numbers. What are the two numbers? Corresponding number of the key row multiplied by key ratio. So this multiplication we will find out, subtract it from the old number and I will get the new number. So let me do that. How many numbers do I require? 1, 2, 3. Only 3 numbers are required. So look at this number. This is the new number. Where is the old number? Old number is here. So this new number is equal to the old number 0 minus corresponding number of the key row. For this number, the corresponding number of key row is here. For this number, the corresponding number of key row is here. For this, it is this, and so on. So old number minus corresponding number of the key row, that is -1. But the second term has to be multiplied by the key ratio. And what is the key ratio? 1 by 2. So 0 minus 1 by 2 is -1 by 2. Okay. Next, two more numbers to be calculated. Number here, this new number is equal to this old number 1 by 4 minus corresponding number of the key row, which is -1 by 2. So minus 1 by 2 will become +1 by 2, but this has to be multiplied by the key ratio. And what is the value of key ratio? 1 by 2. So this is nothing but 1 by 4 plus 1 by 4 or 2 by 4, that is equal to 1 by 2. Next, last number. Once this last number is done, the table will be almost ready except for the numbers in the index row. So number here, this new number is equal to this old number 24 minus corresponding number of the key row, that is -12, but this term has to be multiplied by key ratio, which is already calculated as 1 by 2. Therefore this is nothing but 24 minus half of 12, that is 6. So 24 minus 6, which is 18, and therefore this number is 18. Good. So all the numbers in the key row and the non-key row already calculated. Now is the time to calculate the numbers in the index row. Most important row, because this row is going to tell us if the solution to the problem that we have now obtained is optimal or not. So these two numbers will decide if the solution is optimal. If none of them is negative, we can say that the solution is optimal. So if it is optimal, this will give me the value of optimal zeta. And if it is not optimal, if there is a negative number here or here, I will have to go from here to the next table. So this was my initial simplex table or tableau. Tableau is also a smaller table, is called as tableau. In fact, however big, it is always known as simplex tableau. So my initial simplex tableau, after iteration number 1, I got this. After iteration number 2, I got this. Okay. Now this is yet to be completed. So let me complete the numbers in the index row. 1, 2, 3 numbers are required to be calculated. So let me calculate them. You know how to calculate these numbers now. 2 by 3 into 35. 2 by 3 into 35, 35 into 2 is 70. Okay, then minus 1 by 2 into 40 will be minus 20. Okay, and minus what is appearing at the top, which is 0. So I don't need to write this. So what is this value? If I multiply 20 by 3 to make common denominator as 3, this will be 70 minus 60 upon 3, that is 10 upon 3. Therefore, this number is 10 upon 3. The important point for me is that this number is positive, and a positive number is a good news for me. Next number will tell me if the solution is optimal. Okay, next number. How do I calculate this number? 35 multiplied by minus 1 by 3, that is minus 35 upon 3. 35 is not divisible by 3, so I must write it as minus 35 upon 3. 40 multiplied by 1 by 2. 40 multiplied by 1 by 2 is 20. What is this value? I must multiply 20 by 3 to make common denominator as 3. So 20 into 3 is 60. So it is 60 minus 35 upon 3. That is 25 upon 3. 25 upon 3. Important point again, this is a positive number. What does it mean? The table is optimal. And what have we done? We have solved the problem completely. There are no negative numbers in the index row. These two numbers were 0 and both these numbers are positive. That means we have reached the optimal solution. But what is the zeta value? It must be an improvement over 960. Okay, so let's calculate. 8 into 35 plus 18 into 40. This is nothing but 280. 35 into 8 is 280, plus this is 18 into 40 is 720. This is nothing but 1000. 720 plus 280 is 1000, and this is 1000. Is it an improvement over the previous value? Yes. In a maximization problem, the value of objective function must go on increasing. Has it increased? Yes. From 960, I'll say that even 961 is an improvement, but this is 1000. So an improvement over the previous value. And is the solution optimal? We already know the answer to this. Yes, the solution is optimal. Why the solution is optimal? Because there are no negative numbers in the index row. We can say that the solution is optimal. And what is the solution that we are talking about? Read the optimal table. x2 is equal to 8. x1 is equal to 18. What about s1, s2? Also the variables in the original problem. s1, s2 are not present in the basis. They are not present here. So what are the values of non-basic variables? By definition, the values of non-basic variables are 0. And therefore, the solution is x2 is equal to 8, x1 is equal to 18, s1 is equal to 0, non-basic, and s2 is equal to 0, non-basic, and zeta value is 1000. And since the solution is optimal, because there are no negative numbers, I can put an asterisk on this number to show that this is the optimal solution. Now, how do I write the optimal solution? Okay, I'm going to verify the solution also. I must ensure that my original constraints are not violated by the solution. So at optimality, now see, there is a little difference here between graphical method at optimality and simplex method. Here there are two new variables and their names are s1 and s2. In graphical method there were no slack variables. Okay, so I must write names of all the variables first. Firstly, the decision variables, that their names are x1 and x2. Then the slack variables s1 and s2. Write the names of all the variables, first decision followed by slack. Thereafter write zeta value and find out the values from the optimal table. Okay. Let's find out once again. x1, basic variable. What is its value? 18. So x1 is equal to 18. What is the value of x2? x2 is equal to 8. x2 is equal to 8. s1, s2, are they present here? No. That means they are not basic variables. That means they are non-basic variables. And non-basic variables by definition are having a 0 value. Both are not present in the basis, so they are 0. And what is the zeta value? Zeta value which I got is 1000. I am putting an asterisk to show that it is the optimal value. Good. So the solution has been completed for this problem. What do we observe? Zeta value is 1000. Now you go back a little bit. I am drawing here, look here, the graphical solution to the first problem on simplex. Do you recollect that we had some such solution space and we had shaded this area, okay, and this point was 0 0, this point was 24 0, this point was 18 8, and this point was 0 20. These points we had given names O, A, B, C. Go back to the table for question number 1 in the graphical method. In fact, question number 1 from the graphical method and question number 1 from the simplex method, the question is same, but we have obtained the solution by a far more laborious procedure. But this procedure is exact. Now see, what will happen is if I apply this procedure, I'll be able to solve with 3 and 4 variable problems also. Whereas in graphical, the limitation is I can solve only 2 variable problems, because in graphical method there is only x1 axis and x2 axis. Now whatever the values at these various points, at O, the value of zeta, this is vertex and this is zeta value. At O, the value of zeta was 0. At point A, this is this 24 0, the zeta value was 960. At point B, that is 18 8, the zeta value was 1000, and at point C over here, the zeta value was 700. And we said by examining this column that this is the optimal solution. And what were the variable values? 18 and 8. x1 is equal to 18, x2 is equal to 8. x1 is equal to 18, x2 is equal to 8. What are we getting? x1 is equal to 18, x2 is equal to 8. That with the same solution, in fact, we have obtained by a totally different algebraic method. This is called as simplex algorithm, and this completes the first problem in respect of the simplex method. Okay. Now from here onwards, we'll be going to the second problem, and the second problem obviously will not be easier than the first problem. So we'll probably have more variables there, more rows in the table, and so on, and we'll see that. But the procedure and the formulas are same, and the two important formulas are here. The rules of transformation. How do we go from one table to the next table? We identify the key column first, thereafter we identify the key row, and once we have found out the key ratios for non-key rows, then we apply these formulas and get the new table and go on doing it till when? Till there are no negative numbers in the index row. And once there are no negative numbers in the last row, known as index row or Zj minus Cj, or the net evaluation row, we can say that the optimal solution has been reached. Okay, thank you.